as we have got ourselves in the top left-hand side. Our blue Terran player here is going to be Cure, taking on the red Terran in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. It is Clem. New maps, once again, here in the Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament. We're back on Babylon. It feels like we just played a game on this map, obviously, in the previous series, but a couple maps ago. But, yeah, obviously, sometimes maps come around twice, especially the ones that had not been played quite as much coming into the day. As we do have Clem in the bottom corner. See if he can get it done in some TvT, guys, because you know that Clem's TvT can sometimes be the shaky matchup. I do feel like he's gone a long way toward fixing his TvT in that regard. I think there's something about Kua, and Korean Terrans especially, I think, which sometimes he does still struggle with. And I feel like, I haven't actually checked this, and I'm looking it up right now to check, but I feel like Kua is one of the players that Clem probably struggles against the most when it comes to matches. Yeah, I mean, in all-time, Kua is 10-5 against Clem. And even just this year, Kua is 2-1. So this year as well, Kua is in a pretty good place there. And in fact, both times Kua has beaten Clem is in a WardiTV tournament. Oh my goodness. They played in the Winter and Spring Championships. So, yeah, we actually have both Kua and Clem playing in our events and Kua getting the better of him. So, in fact, Kua beat Clem last year in the Spring Championship as well, twice. Oh my god, Clem. Okay, Clem has beaten Kua once in a WardiTV event. In WardiTV tournaments, Clem is like 1-6 against Kua. That's actually kind of crazy. So, well, that wasn't quite the stat I was looking for when I went into the Aligulac page, but it's the stat we came out with. So there you go, there you have it. Alright then, a bit of TvT, and again, we had a lot of mirrors in the first round of the matchup. So far, it does mean that there's not as many mirrors tomorrow, at least, I guess, I suppose. Obviously, we'll see how this section of the bracket pans out, because after we do Cure Clem, guys, we do have the winner of this taking on Max Packs as well. So that will be kind of back-to-back matches coming up. So 2 more best-of-5 still coming today. And, yeah, at the moment, just going to see a Reaper chasing around another Reaper. And that is that for the moment. Well, just going to be seeing our CC already coming up, finishing here in a second from Cure. Clem, his own CC is a little bit later on, so a little bit more kind of factory and starport focused is Clem. And he will be the slightly more aggressive player throughout these early stages of the game. He's going into a third Reaper and a second Helene, while Cure has a much faster Marine count and only has Helenes in production right now. So potential for Clem to get something done very early here. As you do see our Reapers coming up to the top and getting set up. Just going to be seeing our Marines continue to produce from Cure, so let's see if there can be any successful harassment from Clem. I feel like Cure is pretty well set up defensively at the moment. Let's see. Wasn't this match already casted by Crank? Yes. We, like I've said 2 times now already, the matches are played in sync. The first 2 matches of the day were played at the same time as other matches because of certain player schedule things with WTL and stuff. And so we let any community casters that wanted to cover the other matches cover those. So yes, if you watched Crank's stream, then you probably already saw these games. But if you share the result, I will instantly ban you because I actually have no idea of the result myself. So, yes. Please don't share the result because then I will be actually upset. Yeah, Cyclone on the way out, Raven coming through. As Clem actually ends up getting through SCV, so not so bad. Bit of multi-prong, bit in the natural, bit in the main. And a little bit of damage done here and there so far. As do have our Raven and Cyclone continuing through on the side of Clem. So he's actually going to have 1 extra Cyclone, right? And then he'll have the faster Raven here too by just a little bit. So a little bit of additional energy on his Raven compared to his opponent. Not in too huge of a way, as our Marines will come up this ramp. Go into toward this mineral line. Cure's counter-attack going to force the auto turret, so there goes the energy advantage from Clem, although he has the better trade-off here, right? He's going to save his Cyclone. Oh, he loses the lock-on on the medevac, so he can't call that off just yet. A couple more shots, the Marine will go down. I'm just going to be seeing Cure have to stand back for the moment. As Clem taking a little bit of the worker lead It's 20 workers to the 18 at the moment, favoring... Sorry, it's 20 army to 18 favoring Cure, but that's a very slight difference. I think what's important is what's in the army. We see Clem, again, just ahead on Raven number 2. I mean, if you're ahead on Raven number 1, it makes sense that you're also ahead on Raven number 2, but again, I think that's fairly notable that that is the case right now. As a couple more units unload, and we'll start to pressure forward up this ramp into the natural. I'm just going to have our tank siege, and Cyclone going to micro a little bit, so good position with the tank being able to siege. Maybe worth dropping another auto turret. We actually do kill a Raven. Did Clem not have another auto turret? Oh, we thought the Ravens had enough energy for another one. A little bit messy, because obviously now the tank is still not dead, so the SCVs are taking a little extra damage than what I thought they might. Finally, another auto turret came down, but Clem actually loses 7 SCVs. So Cure takes this consistent little pressure that he had at the front and turns it into some kills. And now actually going to take a pretty severe worker lead off of this. 45 to 41 is obviously pretty notable. It's going to be having our starport going to relocate then. Just over this way. Our third CC will be setting up as well, so just getting that going at the front. Just going to be having our against impact going in on both sides. A couple of Vikings from Q2. He did lose his Raven, so he only has one Raven, so he doesn't have the greatest air control setup, but he is still in a position to maybe play a bit of air control, especially if he gets the Viking count running in his favor, so... Okay. I mean, right now, Q's just going to sit out the front and stop Clem from leaving his base, and if that's the case, Clem might find himself just a little bit stuck here for a little while. Raven's still just hanging out overhead, waiting for the right opportunity to maybe try get something done. Obviously, breaking out of this location might be on that list of things to do here. Would not be a bad option. Thanks will, again, just make Clem think about how he's going to break out. He is dropping the third CC down, so obviously he would like to get his SCVs there, because Kira has his own SCVs on his own third base now, so that's an eco advantage that Kira is creating for himself. Okay, the income grab, and it'll be spiking up in Kira's favor as that third gets to mine properly. There's a couple SCVs there, but a single Marine is currently denying them, and yeah, just awkward, because again, Kira can just sit in this choke point and then cover the choke point of the natural ramp. And Clem scans across the map, wants to know exactly what kind of a position he's in, so says, oh, okay, well, you're saturated on a third. I definitely need to be breaking out then. You know, it kind of makes the decision for him as, whoa, yeah, pulling SCV is going to commit to this fight. Interference matrices do go down, and Clem losing about 11, 12 workers. I feel like this isn't good enough for Clem. I feel like he's losing way too many workers and way too many Marines as well, because now he would need to go across the map and deal some damage to get back into this. And I just don't think he's got the army to do that. Kira actually really didn't have too much of his army at the front there. He's still got 2 tanks back at home, Vikings, Marines, or at least some of them were moving across the map, I guess. But same idea. That wasn't everything Kira had, so Clem breaking out and cleaning up everything doesn't give him a lead in any way. It just gives him the access to the third. And I think Clem realized it wasn't a good enough fight to go across the map. But that just means he's playing from behind, and we're now seeing this high ground position. I talked about this on the previous series for Babylon, where this tank can just sit on the high ground. That's a very frustrating place to defend. This is why this base is actually maybe a bit of a trickier base to take and hold on to. But as a Terran, you want the triangle base because you don't want your opponent sieging your main. And yeah, Kira just taking full advantage of it. So a great showing of something happening on the map here is actually kind of cool to see, right? Definitely a pretty neat feature as a sensor tower is going up in the center. This medevac of Marines going to come boosting along and is looking to get some damage done. So Clem definitely needs some worker kills. Let's see if he can find some here, as the SCVs will pull in fairness. So Clem, I mean, good start. That's exactly what you want to have happen. 4 workers going down, 5 fighting away. Okay. If he didn't have a drop in his main base, this drop over here is going to do just as much damage as Clem is doing, if not more. And he's going to be losing his engineering base. Fortunately, did at least just finish 1-1, but it'll be delayed 2-2. Secure investing into damage that will give him, you know, leads later in this game as well. And this does look as though we are going to be seeing Kira taking a Game 1 victory at this point. Clem is moving onto the map, so maybe this base trade can get something done. Maybe, possibly. Orbital command. I mean, Clem has to do so much. He's lost the main. He's going to be losing his third in a second. Okay, SCVs will keep it alive, but in fact, Kira's losing a lot of units because of keeping this alive. Across the map, Clem fighting then. Let's see if he can somehow find magic and keep it a lot alive. Oh, there's a tank there. There's more Marines on load, and I don't feel like that's really plausible. Looks like Hugh has a good enough hold. It got pretty close. In fact, Clem even had like a bit of an army supply lead at the very end, but doesn't seem to feel like he can take it and do anything with it, as he's not quite really breaking through this position. He's running out of units, and that's going to be GG's, as you do have Clem able to take, Kira able to take the first game of this best of 5. Down a game in the bottom right corner is going to be the blue Terran player. This is Team Liquid's Clem. Top left corner of the map, our red Terran player here is going to be Cure. Game number 2 then of this best of 5. Cure opening strong, doing well. In that previous game, definitely doing a decent job of just finding the counterattacks, finding the right moments to get things going in his favor, and he actually did a very good job, right? I mean, he was actually behind a little bit early, but then kept counterattacking, and once he started counterattacking, he just kept it going until he was sure it was going to be enough for him. That's job well done. Double gas from Cure, single gas from Clem, but he's going to go second barrack. So Clem's going to play for a Reaper-based opening. When you play like this is generally going to be very safe in case your opponent proxy raxes you, which is one of your concerns typically if this is the build you're going into. So that's nice. It leads into a bit of pressure and can lead into a very quick bio-based follow-up as well. I wonder if there's anything about the map main base layout in particular Clem likes here for the Reapers. There's a Reaper jump-up spot here. Like, looking on the other side, I guess he has a Reaper jump-up spot here. He has a spot there. So, yeah, kind of. He has 2 access points to the main, but it's a lot of jumping, so it's not really ideal. I wouldn't say it's... I don't know if it's necessarily map-specific versus maybe just a safety thing and something that Clem is feeling comfortable with at the moment. I think very plausible. Let's see then, as our Reapers will be starting to pop out. First one begins to make its way forward. It's just going to sit on the natural for a second. Going to come forward a little bit. How aggressive does he really want to get with it? It's going to be one of the big questions here. Just going to sit it out over on the ramp. And as this Reaper turns around, it's going to be seeing this SCV coming out to the watchtower. And it's just going to be... having a little bit of vision, and then is just going to be giving up that vision as now the Reaper of Clem gets into the middle of the map here. So, yeah, Reaper sitting in the center, second Reaper coming up. So you're going to get a good jump on this as Clem is going to take down one of the Reapers, but he does lose his own. It would have been really nice to create a Reaper advantage here, so you could have continued to maybe utilize that. Now that kind of you lose one for your, one for yourself, it becomes that little bit tougher to maintain this advantage and do something with it. Yeah, you're slowing down the CC, but your own CC was already later than your opponent, so this is damage you just need to do. And uh-oh, Clem, no! That's really bad. He's just sticking around here a bit too long. That is really bad, actually. I mean... not even sticking around too long, just not paying enough attention. You gotta be quick with your Reapers. You gotta pull them out of that fight. I mean, Clem's basically opened more aggressively, only to now have less stuff to work with. So this is pretty rough. As honestly, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is just horrible for Clem. Now his CC is slowed down. Can he clean up this army? Well, right now it seems like it's going to be a tough ask for him to clean this up, and even if he does clean it up, it's going to come at a pretty hefty price. Cure will target fire down the low HP Hellion. I was like, he's in the wrong Hellion for a moment. Oh god. This is still not actually dealt with, and now this SCV will go down once again, so we will not have a completed command center on the natural, and Clem remains in trouble. Oh, the Hellion, no, goes down to... okay, 2 more Reapers showing up. Do we actually just leave the game here as Clem? This might be one of those games where you're just like, okay, I'm dead, and you just sort of accept it, and... yeah, okay. Here, Clem, you're meant to be epic and cool and awesome, and this isn't quite going to be it, right? As this is just early game TvT going very wrong for Clem. Reapers and the Hellion there trying to do decently, not quite able to. CC is going to start to morph into the orbital. Oh, well, actually, it can't because it's got an SCV inside. So using the orbital, or using the CC to save SCVs. Now he's going to start morphing in the orbital. Well, I mean, now you've got a problem of 2 more Reapers are showing up. Clem just loaded up his units to go out onto the map. And, I mean, genuinely right now, this CC is taking damage to the point where it doesn't have to, it surely shouldn't have to lift, right? Clem's actually going to end up unloading and just coming back to this fight, so probably the smarter choice, all said and done. Going across the map probably wouldn't have netted him too much here. As Kua is going to lift up back away. But look at the worker difference. 35 to 27. Kua with an army supply lead. Clem at least has got a 3rd CC finishing in his main. So that is the small kind of hurrah, I suppose. If he can even still survive, because right now Kua is coming right back at him yet again. An SCV going down. Marines will be here to help defend. He's going to lift up and get out of there, right? I mean, that's the thing for Kua. It's such free damage, right? It's not committed at all. And as then he comes, has a Cyclone now as well. Clem just can't win a fight. Now he's the one that has to evacuate from this, and Cyclone logging onto the medevac is going to get a few shots off. In fact, the medevac might just die here. No, okay, the Cyclone loses its login at the end. The Cyclone just about lives. Clem has absolutely had enough. He knows that Kua has the units. He knows that Kua will have a worker advantage. Clem has played enough TvT to understand the position of the game that he's in, and that will be enough to send us through. Have down 0-2 in the top left-hand side. Looking to turn it around. If you're cheering him on, let's hear some energy from him in the chat right now. It is going to be our blue Terran player. This is Clem from Team Liquid. In the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player is going to be Kua. Let's see if he's just going to ruin our Clem hype and just 3-0 him or so. As, yeah, I mean, Kua, man, I didn't feel like Kua's been looking too hot lately, but Kua's just good in online events as well, and showing up sometimes. And again, it's just a reminder as well that the winner of this series plays against, winner of this series will play against Max Pact in the quarterfinals. That will be our last match of the day as well. So just reminding you all of that. Just checking other people's point of views, and Crank's point of view at this point of the game is just like, I'm going to just mega zoom in on Clem's command center. Wow. SCV scout from Clem, I mean, he's not in a position to take any risks, really, is he? Down 0-2. But he's just kind of got to go, go, go. That's the kind of situation we are in. He's just got to play the games out, scout properly, figure things out as we go. As we get this underway. CV heading down the bottom right side. Is this live or a live rebroadcast? This was played about 3 hours ago, and we are casting it from replays instead of casting it live to help with our players' schedules. Whatever you would like to call that, because I don't think that's live or live rebroadcast. As far as I'm concerned, it's live, because it's basically, it happened today, and we're basically casting it right now, so that's how I see it. Alright, well, we follow this SCV a lot. There is a Reaper across the map, and Clem is going to get first blood here. Reactor first as well, and obviously Clem scouted, so he knows he can get in with his Reaper before units are out for his opponent. He does just that. He takes advantage and, yeah, gets himself an SCV kill. So not a bad start. Good way to get things going. Cyclone coming up on the side of Clem. We do have that starport continue to build in as well. So all of this coming through so far. So yeah, so far so good. Just going to have a couple of Reapers, Hellion all coming out. Just going to be rallying that up the center of the map. Away we head. A factory building the tech lab. Let's see what Kyo can do with his units. Obviously, with the reactor early, he does start to outnumber Clem at some point because that reactor, the usage of that reactor finally kicks in after it's built. All the Reapers just going to die from the mineral line, and, well, 2 workers go down. Probably going to find 3, but that should be it. 3 SCVs for 4 Reapers. I mean, 4 Reapers feels quite expensive. At the same time, the Hellions at the front are deflected and denied. I'd say that's a very good defense from Clem, because that's a lot of unit investment early from Kyo. That just doesn't do much. A couple worker leads, okay, that's decent, don't get me wrong. But obviously Kyo has also been on a later command center, so Kyo is also on a later mule. So economy-wise, it's not even like, definitely a guaranteed advantage for Kyo. It's just something else to kind of look at there as you see the Starport going to swap onto the reactor, and it looks like Kyo is going to go directly to some Vikings. Now, Clem's been building a Banshee, and a sneaky Banshee could have been cool, but if your opponent's already building Vikings, it's going to be a lot less likely to find success. And he's also pushing with 2 Cyclones in the middle of the map, so Clem really ramping it up in a few ways right now. There's the medevac coming around the top side here from Kyo, heading toward the main base of Clem, potentially get some damage done. Oh, Clem has a lock onto a Cyclone, can't do much with it, but the Banshee can try and sneak around the backside. Medevac Kyo just waiting for its opportunity to shine here. Going to choose its moment to go boosting into this mineral line. In it goes. And a couple of SCVs immediately start recoiling from this and start pulling away. 2, 3 SCVs go down. Yeah, okay, actually really scary drop for Clem to deal with. Pulling the Cyclones back, the Banshee back as well. Even going to pull SCVs into fight against this. And Kyo finds 4 SCVs at a very low cost. And that is really nice. Especially, I mean, he's not got any Ravens, so he is going into Vikings. I feel like Kyo is just going to push and essentially 2 base all in. Which is kind of a unique way to play TvT. And can work on some shorter maps, and clearly Kyo feels like it's going to work here, hence using it. It's an interesting one. Like I said, it's definitely not quite the norm. Let's see. I feel like he's definitely starting to do the damage that would help him to make it work, although this drop now completely found and killed. There's a little bit of the supply gone from Kyo that would have helped him out with this push. The Vikings going in. Raven gets to pull back out of there for a moment or two, so staying out of trouble. Obviously, Clem just wants to try and hold this position. Kyo not set up well to play a longer game. He needs to be doing some game-winning damage with this push. The problem is, without having ever built a Raven, how do you ever take an advantage over Clem's tanks? Like, you have air control, but Clem has Ravens. All he has to do is bring those Ravens in at the start of a fight, and boom, double Matrix, and your tanks are just completely nullified. And Clem's tanks just go on without a care in the world. The tank will be sieging up toward the front. Vikings still set out over here. Raven on the way from Clem. You're going to see Clem pulling SCVs to bust out of this. The Ravens are going to come in from the flank, so they can't get shot down. 1 or 2 tank shots go off before the Matrixes drop in here. I think the SCVs are going to have to get away because they're just not needed anymore. So Clem is going to be able to maintain a lot of them, although he does lose 10 pretty quickly. Now we see the Raven, Banshee, and Marines continuing forward. Vikings will turn around, will go for the Banshee. Doesn't quite pick up on it. Seeing a couple of Vikings going to try and help out again. And we do have a sieged up tank, and Clem's just going to keep on stepping forward. Does have a Matrix, and he just drops it straight away. No fear, taking a couple of tank shots. Says, uh-oh. Clem's going to get on top of. He's going to go for the tank first, then the Liberator. Auto turret drops down. Can he get the lib? He can get the lib. The tank's going to have to back away, though. That was a scary couple of moments. I actually think if he didn't take the tank shot, the Marines would have just won the game right here, but the one tank shot softened them up enough. They did put Kyo into a defendable position. This tank attack now from Kyo, from Clemson on the front, still going to be able to siege up though. And this third CC that Kyo has finally gotten into much later than Clem, well, it's not going to get much of a chance to mine here because Clem is going to start denying it pretty much straight away here. CC has to lift off and back away. Clem will have a big eco lead, a pretty sizable army lead this game, very decisive about what he wants to do. Was very good at just knowing how he... Well, he was just very good at saying, right, well, you know, this is an attack. Break out of this, and immediately knows the breakout was good enough for me to just go across the map with and just counterattack. And obviously now looking very good as a couple of extra racks will go down. Tanks just sieging off to the side. 1-1 upgrade, stim pack all continuing through. Armory on the way up, the sensor tower coming in, a couple of extra reactors continuing to build as well. Yeah, so far, so good. Just gonna see how Vikings in the lib continue to nibble for a little bit. Let's see if they can do anything coming out this right side. We're gonna see Marines with stim now for Clem. I mean, that means you can get such a spread on these tanks. Akira isn't going to have much of a chance to hold this off. He does have a Liberator Sieging, but there's just too much from Clem. Obviously, the tech is way too far advanced by this point in time. There's just really no way. So Clem is going to take this down. He is going to wrap this up. And that is going to be a Game 4 guaranteed for us here in this TvT series. As, well, number 4, guys. In the bottom right side, our blue Terran player is going to be Cure. And he has the 2-1 lead over Team Liquid's Clem. In the top left, and fighting to stay in this Team Liquid map contest tournament. Round of 12 here. This is our last round of 12 match. Again, after this, we'll do the second round of 8 match of the day. And then the rest of the tournament is played tomorrow. Reminder, we'll be starting 1 hour earlier if you're in Europe. So, Europe has daylight saving times. And we're going to be starting at the same time for Korea. So, for Europe, we'll be starting 1 hour earlier. So that will be at midday CET. I believe in NA the time will not change because you guys don't change your clocks tomorrow. It's next week. But just letting you guys know that, just be aware of that. Just be, knowledgeable about it so that you can not miss out on games. If you want to watch from the very start, tomorrow we'll be kicking off with... I think tomorrow we kick off with Classic versus Hero, and then Yomiho versus... Creator, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to double check which order it is, but those are the games that are happening. And then the semi-finals, and then, of course, the finals. The Reaper's on the way up from both players here, and double gas is on the side of Clem. Single gas from Kira looks like he's going to go a little bit of a faster expansion, and there it is dropping down. Once again, Clem SCV scouting isn't in the position to be taking too many risks, which means that it's a perfect kind of meta call here from Kua. He says, hey, your SCV scouting last game, probably this game too. You don't want to die to anything silly. You want to guarantee a bit of a longer game. If that's the case, what can I do to take advantage of it? I can expand quickly, and if I expand straight away, it means that I'm capable of just straight away instantly saying, boom, you're not going to punish that. The SCV scout doesn't gain anything by scouting it. It's, in fact, just even better for me because you're SCV scouting. So I like the risk taking that you decide there. Ripper ends the Marine here. Go the way of Cure. He gets the SCV and the Reaper of Clem. So early game for Clem, not great. Especially if Clem's the one that maybe wants to try and find some damage at some point because he's not expanded as quickly as Cure. Suddenly Cure is going to be feeling even better about his fast expansion because now it's so much more difficult for Clem to punish it in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, definitely looking a little bit rough when you're, or if you are Clem right now. Definitely not the greatest of starts, and it's just an opening. It's not going to decide the entirety of this game, and Q actually gives up the Reaper Marine to kill an SCV and delay the CC by a few moments. So giving up units to extend his command center and eco lead. But Q on the other side is obviously then not going to have as many units now because he just gave up a couple, so that's kind of interesting. Well, at least the two Hellions are there. Hellions are pretty good defensively at this stage, so they will do the job. So it's probably a risk assessment that just passed the assessment, right? For Q, he just said, there's a little bit of a risk I might have to take here, but I think it'll be okay, and I think he was probably right in that assumption. A couple of Hellions then just move into the main. We're still reactoring Hellions, so it's going to be a lot of Hellions here as well to stay active with and to keep on pressuring with for the moment. Aliens will start to move forward then, and just going to be seeing Ravens starting up on both sides, starting to get into what feels like a fairly standard pacing of TvT, right? Third CC will go down. Clem is down about 7 workers, which is pretty brutal, about 15 supply in total. But they're both going to go to a third base. And there is a world where in TvT at least Clem can perhaps hold on for a while, draw the game out a little bit for, you know, etc. I think those are the kind of things which Clem can do that will be very... Yeah, I mean, it's possible is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not going to be easy against someone like you who's so good at finding the openings, taking advantage, but it's possible that Clem can defend long enough to kind of draw this game out and get a few more bases up and maybe just get to a stage of this game where all those things can lead him to a bit of a success story. So let's find out. Let's just see our Aliens, tank, Free Marines all gathering up. CC is continuing to build at the moment, just off to the side there. As you can see, a couple extra racks coming through, and Hellions will get to the front there to pick off another Hellion, and a couple of Reapers are going to make their way down over here as well to try and see if they can find a way in to get a couple SCVs. Again, for Clem, even killing a couple of workers would be nice. Defense on the third is off to the left side, so the Reapers will hop into the main at least. Let's see what Clem can do. Can we get a worker or two? He's down by 4. 2 workers would be amazing, I think. Gets 1 easily. He's probably going to have... Well, he's easily going to have 2, actually. 3. And probably only... Oh, he's going to get 4. Wow, really nice. Job well done. I thought the Hellions were going to insta-kill him, but yeah, he makes it 4. Not bad at all. Right, I mean, we're talking about Clem being down a few workers. That's the worker count he was down by. A slightly faster third, but wasn't on location, so that kind of evens out from both players. And yeah, Q still has an army supply advantage because he had a better economy earlier in the game. But now that army supply advantage is, well, yeah, it's 10 army supply, which again, can you really take that across the map and attack in TvT? Not always. It's kind of the point I was trying to make up earlier. True Cat Mysteries, thank you so much for the 33-month resub as well. Much appreciated. And with a tank here, these few Hellions still maintain map control. There's only so much they can do. I guess that's some of the army supply right now as well. You consider that the 6 Hellions are what, 12 army supply? That's kind of the difference in army supply. And while Hellions can still buffer and tank some shots, I wouldn't say the Hellions are like massive game changers in a battle usually. So, and especially the larger the army supplies get on either side, the less effective that little cluster of Hellions is going to be. So, I feel like it's a fair amount at the moment for... I still like it for Q, but I don't mind it for Clem, I think is what I'm trying to say still. I'm still just trying to... I'm living on a bit of hopium, I guess, that Clem's going to be okay here. That first tank is in trouble. Clem's going to siege up the rest forward. Auto turrets go down instantly. He does get 2 matrices off. His own auto turret's down. Is it enough to hold on in this battle? Now he's going to land the Vikings, and the Vikings landing should help out a lot as well against these siege tanks. So, yeah, Clem is actually going to clean up this attack, and just like that, the supplies are going to even out a good bit. Clem's still down a little, but way better than it was before. Much more comfortable state of the game than what he's been playing with up until now. So, yeah, good defense from Clem. Nicely done. Not an easy one to do. And Medivacs will come back up around the top side. A bit of a journey. See if they can find a way in. Obviously, a drop to actually find some damage here perhaps would be quite nice. In we go. Loading in the back. A couple of SCVs will start to take some damage. 3-4 workers going down. Now, the tank here is just a little bit annoying to clean up as well, because the tank obviously can really pack a punch on some of the defending Marines, which are typically what would run in defensively against a drop. Here's still maintaining pretty good map control beyond this as well, because there's a little bit of movement out in the center. And he's not going to do too much with it. Sense Tower's up, and with the Sense Tower on the third, you got to imagine that Clem will be okay for now. Fourth base is building again. Q with the map control, though, is taking a bit of advantage with it by building his fourth on location. Whereas Clem builds his fourth just not quite on location. It's not in the base, but it has to still lift off and float for a little while, right? And a little while floating is still a little while where it's not building workers, etc. Definitely noteworthy. 2 upgrades, +1 vehicle weapons, all coming in, and just going to be seeing this command center then finishing, and Clem can instantly lift that and move it across. Q is perusing the map with these few Marines, but I don't think really intending to get too much done. As long as they don't walk into that little chasm and fall off the map, that would be great. Can you imagine units would just walk into holes in the map and just die if you don't mic them properly? I always thought that would be really funny, right? Like, I always thought that would be really quite hilarious. There's our Marines, tanks, Vikings all coming along. Gonna start stemming down here and just gonna have ourselves a little army of Q. Just gonna unsiege, go elsewhere on the top side. We're gonna go stemming in. He is actually trying to break this base before it's a planetary. The Sense Tower got up, but it's not gonna last very long. The SCV's going down on the counterattack though. Clem is maybe gonna get some danger. There's no Ravens here anymore from Q. He lost them earlier, and these tanks, oh, they all unsiege. The Marines step forward. Still not going to go great, though, for Q. And these tanks are going to have a decent spot, but I don't know how much further forward they can get. They're going to be held off by these tanks over here. Q is still dealing damage as Clem has to evacuate his natural expansion a few moments. Let's try and get some tanks on this side. Are they in range of the CC still? I don't think so, but at least they'll be in range of the refinery. Q are losing Vikings. And chaos around the map, obviously, is... yeah, the drop in the main base is now going on, so Clem has to deal with this as well. There's still a Marine over here. And Clem is the one to have lost a lot of workers, but still has maybe the stronger army position on the map. He has a lot of tanks in the back here. I don't know if Q saw all of those tanks, although a couple of them unsieged doesn't exactly help your case. And Clem ended up running into a lot of tanks of his own accord at the end as well. Also not exactly ideal. Still going on the right hand side. I think Q is finally going to find himself a hold here. There's actually a really cool example of this base and defending this base, right? Because the choke into the base is quite far away, but it means that a Terran can't siege up behind these rocks and lay siege to your base, which oftentimes can happen on certain maps. So I think that's actually a really cool example of a kind of a well-designed part of Dragon Scales. I like it. Well, 3-3 on the way up from Q. 3-3 on the way up from Clem. I tell you what this map does do, it really makes me feel like my camera angle is wrong. Like, I look here and I'm like, oh my god, the ramp's in the wrong place. I'm like, that's way better, right? It's not, it's just some of the ramps are at weird angles and it makes me do like a double take. I'm thinking like my camera is just twisted around for some reason. Tank Siege are going to be picking away at a bunch of SCVs here. Planetary Fortress taking some shots. Marines are going to stem forward. I mean, Clem wants to save this base, pulling SCVs to try and save it. And is Clem ever going to get a moment in this game where he's not losing work? Because it works, because he actually does save the base. And he does save, well, fully clean out the army. Wow, I mean, credit to him. Again, 51 workers dead in this game, and Clem is still fighting. Q has definitely been on the better track in this game throughout, but Clem is not giving it up easily at all, and he's definitely had a couple of moments fighting back where he's looked very, very good. As Marines come backing away, and in the center we do have another army of Q moving into the middle of the map here. Tanks and Marines of Clem setting up a couple of tanks already, beginning to siege, try and see what they can do. Tanks sieging in return, and maybe a bit of a standoff. Clem's lost his sense towers, by the way. Rebuilding one of them, but boy does he need them, because he needs to see where his opponent's moving in from. That information is so difficult to play without, when your opponent's playing with it, right? So it's something that you absolutely want to get back on track with, and that's exactly what Clem will be doing. Getting that sensor tower to the upper right-hand corner. Bottom left, Marines are stimming in, and this medevac chased away. Instant cancel from Cure, doesn't even try to save this base, as he's only on 4 bases. We look at resources lost, guys. Clem's obviously had less eco all game, but Cure is only trading a teeny bit better than Clem. I would not say that this game is out of reach for Clem by any stretch. Especially for TvT, it's going to come down to 1 or 2 bigger fights towards the tail end. And one big fight in Clem's favor could absolutely swing this just completely in his favor and just really take it home. Marines coming in. Marines will drop into the back of the main and just going to be seeing some SCVs there and some trouble again. Q's just found so many openings. Because Clem's been a bit behind, he's always the one that's got like a lacking defense here or there, or hasn't been able to focus a defense here or there. That's been quite notable, and obviously that's one of the things which I think Q has been doing very good at. Yo, what's up? I love Brig. Can't believe it's nearly been 2 years. Thank you so much for the 23-month free sub. I really appreciate it. And hell yeah, 1 more month, 2 years. Amazing. Thank you so much for supporting. I really appreciate it. Q still has a worker lead, guys. Just trying to be fair to the statements of this game, right? Q has a worker lead, and he has the extra starports. He's building into Raven Viking. That might just be a checkmate situation, even if the game isn't over quite yet, because Clem fighting against them air units without air units of his own is going to be very difficult. He's done a really good job of denying command centers repeatedly. And this attack right now from Clem might be reasonable as well, especially if he blows up this base. This is really good for Clem, no? Now finally scans, he loses a tank or 2, killing off a few more Marines. It's actually a really big deal, because he's just never letting Q get off of the 4-base setup, which keeps the game within reach, I think. Big time for Clem. Moving an army around the right side as well is going to force Q to multitask that little bit, split the army to deal with this. We'll see how he continues to do with that. Needs to be careful though, he doesn't want to go running up into this base. Surely, I feel like that's a little bit too risque from Clem. Just stim the Marines up, start to spread out. He is starting to overwhelm the tanks though. Maybe it was a very good call as Clem breaks through. And he is going to keep position and, well, I mean, Q is genuinely in a state of trouble right now. He's got a bit of money to rebuild with, but he is going to start losing out on mining. Well, he is already losing out on mining. Clem is putting himself into a better position than he's been in, I would say, pretty much all game. Had to make some risky fights, but making them happen. This is the problem. The power of the Ravens, and instantly Clem just loses 4 siege tanks here. And that's the kind of efficiency Q is only going to be finding more of now that this game is kind of at that point where he's adding Ravens upon Ravens. Clem's getting to his own Ravens, but he is definitely behind on that count. 6 against 2. It feels like it's just another thing that Clem needs to find a way to come back from. The Raven count being in Q's favor, definitely currently favorable. It's tough because the Ravens can do so much. Like I said, what Clem did really well was he's denied bases of Q, and so he's keeping Q's reproduction at least in check. He's not just completely running away with a ton of bases. If he had been, I don't think Clem has a chance in this game. And it's just been a couple times over. He's killed an important CC, or he's killed the new CCs, and it's gone a long way to helping. Ravens, tanks, Marines come out to the right-hand side. We'll just go an orbital command that's going to land over here as well. Both players come out to being maxed yet again. He's going to see one Marine taking some damage, a couple of Marines taking some damage. Ravens, Vikings coming up, a couple of tanks as well. Game calms down for the first time in a long time. It feels like it's been very exciting. It's been pretty much non-stop, but we finally get a chance to breathe, I suppose. It's actually important for Q, I think, because the chaos really led to him having a base issue. And that's something which is kind of being alleviated now, the fact that he's had some time to really just set up on that right side. Clem's still setting up to potentially split push as he tries to work his way into position with these siege tanks. Missile turrets getting shot down initially. Vikings can knock down as well. In we go. Matrix goes down on the first siege tank there. The other Vikings of Q coming across on the right side. Clem's going to get completely overrun. Anti-arm missile is bad, and he loses the medevacs to the Matrix as well. So He couldn't lift, he couldn't heal. That was really bad for Clem, and that was actually just a horrible fight in the end. That was way worse than I ever thought it could be. And he's not making progress on this side, so now Kira is going to start picking through this base over here, and Clem's going to lose this base, and suddenly Clem is the one that's not going to be mining as much, and Clem is the one that's just lost a lot of army, and all the things start to work a bit more into Kira's favor. Clem's been fighting on the back foot this entire time. He's been doing a great job of it, but I think this might be one that's a little bit too hard to come back from. Losing a base and have been out-teched and just being on a smaller army. He needs a big fight in his favor. We'll see if he can find him. Looking for any advantage Clem has. He's behind on every single unit. He has some Hellbats, which I don't think are going to do anything. He's behind on air upgrades. And Clem needs to do something. He knows it as well. He doesn't have like a CC ready to go to replace, so in we go. Dropping the Matrixes down. It's going to be a bit of a chaotic fight as Kira has plenty here as well, which is fighting back decently. Doing a good amount of damage. We just see Clem is going to hold out toward the rocks. We do see him now stimming in on the right side as well, but I feel like he's already lost a lot in this battle, and he's just not coming out looking good at all. I was looking to see what his unit count was. He only had 2 Ravens left at the end of that fight, in fact. And that is going to be enough to send us to GG's, and Kira will advance on to the quarterfinals to fight Max Pax. Clem's run will once again end to a TvT.